What's that?
I'm shooting for John.
Well, am I supposed to be doing anything?
She did everything. Starting UF women's soccer program, winning SEC championships, and even a national title. Becky Burleigh is truly a Gator great.
Like since I was 21, I've been busy every fall.
Burleigh has been the coach of the Gator soccer team for the past 26 seasons. She started the program in 1995, and in just her 4th season, she won a national championship.
She immediately, in her first season, 1995, made the team competitive. And then, coming here that year and having her win a national championship, you could see she was building something good, but I don't know that anybody really thought a national championship in her 4th year, but it happened.
It's a big day. This is fun. It is fun. Look at that crowd.
In addition, Burleigh has led the Gators to 22 NCAA tournaments, 14 regular season conference championships, and 12 SEC tournament titles. Her 507 wins as a head coach place her second among active Division I coaches.
To be able to sustain that kind of success, and I think that by far is tough because every player that comes into Florida knows the expectations are, to win an SEC title and to compete for a national championship every year. And there's really no escaping that.
Burleigh credits her early success to Gator athletics as a whole. She emphasized a winning culture in the recruitment of athletes and building a program from the ground up.
I would give a lot of credit to the beginning success to the other programs at Florida, because I think that's what our recruits look to, the success of all the other teams, and that showed them that it could be done at Florida at a high level.
Retirement won't come easy for Burleigh as she walks off the pitch and leaves behind the program she built.
I've been on a team since I was 10 years old, so I don't even know what it's like to not be on a team.
Despite her stepping down as head coach, Burleigh will be here in Gainesville in August teaching in the College of Health and Human Performance. She will remain connected to Gainesville, the university, and the soccer program in any capacity she is asked of. Burleigh says this change in leadership will be one that benefits the program.
Growth occurs with change and uncomfortability, and I think this change coming up is going to be really healthy for the program.
In her final game as head coach, UF defeated the University of Miami 2-0, and as she's been her entire life, Becky Burleigh walked off the field a winner. Ethan Curtis, WUFT News.
It's really incredible for all those wins that you had. So many of those Elite Eights, the Sweet 16s, obviously winning that championship, Becky. I mean, these are just amazing things that happen. But I do want to talk about that 2020-2021 season that just ended. Obviously struck by COVID. We talked to Parker a couple of weeks back about this, and I talked with her about it, and you can go more deep into this. There was times where there was quite a few women that were, quarantined, and then one was sick, and you guys really couldn't get it to gel because of those issues, of course. Can you talk about how really COVID, it crushed your season in plain English?
Well, for the fall, for sure. I mean, obviously everybody in the country was going through that for the first time, and there was a lot of learning curve with that. But I think particularly the way that we play is so reliant on players knowing each other and playing well with each other. We're definitely the sum of its parts is greater than the whole group of players. And we just didn't really have that opportunity in the fall to have everyone together at the same time all the time.
Right. And it was incredible. And I remember going to those camps and all those classroom sessions and how you got all these girls that I was coaching in high school from Celebration together and learning, in that week, so many things about themselves that they didn't even know that they were telling me after that camp ended. So I know the importance of getting the team together for preseason and stuff. So with that, obviously, in January, after the campaign of the fall, you made that decision to seek retirement. Can you talk about that and how tough it was to go into that decision and tell the girls in general?
Yeah, telling the team was really difficult. I thought it was going to be hard, and it was probably a little harder than I even expected. I think when you're with a program for so long, and my concern with this particular group was they had just been through that fall that was very difficult. I knew by telling them when I did tell them that there probably wouldn't be any resolution in terms of a new coach being hired until the end of the spring, which was a long way away. But I also really valued transparency. And I think once I knew, it was important for me to let them know. And I also think, from a recruiting standpoint, it was very, very difficult for me to continue recruiting knowing that I wasn't going to be there. That just didn't really sit that well with me. So kind of a lot of factors went into it. But I think in the end, I'm glad that I was able to tell the team when I did, because it gave me the opportunity to, kind of help them work through the process, being right there with them in the season.
Becky Burleigh, former Florida Gators women's soccer coach. Becky, you know how it is to start a program, obviously starting it back in '95 and having so many great, amazing seasons. Now, Tony Amato's coming in, former head coach of Arizona, taking your spot. What advice, I guess, have you given him, if you spoke to him already, about, obviously this team is built, you've done great, amazing things through the past 26 years, but he's coming in with limited time, with a lot of great players, but still it's going to be a different style of soccer probably, since, from what you coached. So what advice would you give Tony about the team and, kind of rebuilding and kind of, getting a great team on the field again?
Well, I don't think I really need to give Tony any advice. He's a really competent coach. I think Florida is lucky to have him. I think he's going to be really excited to be at Florida because it's such an amazing place. And he's coming into a great group of women, and it's an exciting time because there's so many things happening with the program. We're getting ready to have a new facility built. Just a lot of exciting things. But, in the end, for me, like, the most important thing is the success of Gator soccer continuing, and however I can help support that, I will.
So, we look at the team from last fall, a couple of big names leaving. The one I think of most, obviously, we just interviewed her, Parker Roberts, the leadership skills. She was with the Gators for such a long period of time, Becky. So, that's a captain that's leaving. With that said, what do you expect from the girls next year?
Well, they definitely have some big people leaving, Parker, Karina, Deanne Rose, like there's some really important players leaving the program. But at the same time, they have a lot of talent coming back. And I think that's pretty exciting. And I think there is some excitement from the new players around having a new coach and potentially a different style of play. And, for me, there's a place for continuity, but there's also something exciting about having new blood. And to me, that is going to be the challenge of the fall, is how do you hit the ground running, which, gosh, I'm sure Tony and his staff are just like on the sprint at the moment, because not only are they coming at a time where there's not much time between now and the season, but they're also coming at a time where recruiting has just reopened, where, it's time where we start to be able to contact the next group of recruits on June 15th, and just a lot of things happening at once. But the good news is there's a team intact. Tony's a very experienced coach, and I think that he will handle that with no problems.
With going into the last few questions, as far as audience questions, first question is, what was your greatest achievement in soccer in general?
Whew. That's a heavy hitter. I think I would probably just say that, when you're navigating life with somebody who's going through a major change, and clearly going from high school to college is a big change for everybody, let alone an athlete. And then you see them come out on the other side of that and thrive. Like that's super rewarding. And, we're lucky enough in our jobs to get to do that every single day. And I think that's why, alumni weekends and the ability to interact with people as they've moved on past UF is such an important part of what I love about my job.
So that hits into the actually last two audience questions. What athlete that you coached helped you grow and changed your life for the better? And obviously vice versa. What athlete did you coach that you actually feel like you made them grow, as you just stated in the last answer?
Great question. If I'm being honest, I feel like every player that's played in the soccer program has helped me grow. I'm going to give you an example of that because I think it's worthwhile. This was not even that long ago. You know, we had a player who had some academic issues and was academically ineligible. It was the first player in the history of our program that had happened to. I was not happy about that situation because we take a lot of pride in what our athletes do in the classroom too, and kind of gave it to her, you know, and then I found out probably maybe a year later that she was going through a lot of difficult situations during that time when she was academically ineligible that I was unaware of. Yeah. And for me, you know, there was never a time where I thought to myself, like, okay, get curious, not furious. Like that became a real, like, living, breathing mantra for me at that point, because I was really judgmental in a situation where I should have just gotten curious about why was this person struggling academically. And so, you know, it's situations like that that you encounter all the time in college coaching that make you grow as a person. And it's crazy. I mean, like, just the things that you see on a daily basis, whether it's someone overcoming a struggle, whether it's someone, you know, rising into a situation like maybe a leadership position that maybe they weren't ready for at the beginning. Like, you see people grow and you see how they grow it. Like, that's one of the questions I probably ask my players the most is like, okay, clearly, like, I feel like you're playing really confidently right now. How did you get there? How did you get there? Because I want to know this information so that I can share that with future players and with myself. So that's the beauty of the job. Like, it's a learning lab every single day.
So my last thing is, what is next for you? What's the next venture? I know that you've done so much with What Makes Winning with that. I know you're teaching that master course coming up in fall. Can you give kind of a little bit of can you give the viewers a little bit of the class and also a little quick preview of the class, of course, because it's going to be a long class, but regardless, and what else is up for you next?
I'm really excited, you know, to be able to stay in Gainesville. I love Gainesville. It's a great place to live. And, you know, the University of Florida community as a whole is, you know, it's amazing. And so to have the opportunity to stay here and teach in the College of Health and Human Performance, you know, What Drives Winning has been kind of a passion project of mine, probably for the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. And basically, I feel like it's a way to sort of pay back the game and not just my sport, but every sport, because What Drives Winning applies to any leader, whether you're a sporting leader or not. But I think the goal is to teach these master's level classes in the College of Health and Human Performance to hopefully empower the next generation of coaches, and maybe to have them be more prepared than I was when I went into coaching. Because when I went into coaching, it was kind of, you know, you get dropped in and you live and learn. And there's a value to that, but there would also be value to having some basic foundational skills before you get put in that situation, because we are certainly in an environment these days where, with social media and other things, that there's not as much tolerance for learning on the job. I think there's a lot more expected results immediately. And I think coaching is hard. It's complex. There's a lot to it. And to have some skills going into that, I think that's where What Drives Winning can help provide that.
Becky Burleigh, thanks so much for your time. If you want to follow her, definitely follow her on Twitter. It's a great follow. Becky, thanks again.
Thank you.